Well, we're already in this. I know this is the intro, but we've already done our episode, okay? And I already know that you're going to love it because it was fantastic. It was a wonderful conversation. And so we're gonna just do our brief little, introduction, our banter.
Yeah, how's it going, Jordan? But first, welcome
Oh,
to
yes.
another
Welcome,
episode of
everyone, to episode 46 of Millennial Mom Thoughts.
What's up, what's up, what's up? I'm Helen Plevka-Jones.
Yes, you are. I'm Jordan Spickelmeyer,
And we just kidding.
and we are the Millennial Moms.
Every other word. Ready? Go.
I will not be doing that, Helen. I will not
Yeah,
be doing
no. But before our listeners get to the
that.
fabulous
Yes.
conversation we've had, how's life? Sounds like things are going on.
Things are happening. This is super brief. We had another ER visit. Poor Brian. Oh my gosh, we want to know. Well, he definitely wants to know. We want to know what's going on.
We all
So
do. Yeah.
we all do. So thankfully he's good. Didn't end up being seen. It was such a long wait that by the time he would have been seen, he was feeling better. So he got up and was like, I'm gonna go. So went
We
to pick
did
him
that
up.
once before too,
Yeah.
which was that we should have stayed. In retrospect, it's like we should
Oh,
have gone in then,
well,
but it's like, oh, his fever broke. All right, guess we'll go home. 2 days
yeah.
later,
And so it began.
hello, ICU. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
So
that's
that
zero
changed
percent
our day
fun. Yeah,
yesterday.
yeah, and he's going into band camp week here, right? You're
Well, week one he does
week
not
one. Oh, okay,
do because
pre-camp.
yeah, he's still at his
Okay,
actual regular job. And then he
yeah,
takes a
and
week
then he takes
off
a week
to
to
go
go.
do
Yeah,
a week of band
full
camp.
band
So
camp. Yeah.
I will be leaving
You are.
town with
Yes.
Camden and Lily.
You don't
Uh,
want to wake up to
nope, I don't. Or the metronome, the high pitch, the constant. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's,
Reset.
yeah. I can hear it from my window.
I know.
We're obviously
Yeah,
super
I
close
hear
with
it
high
in my
school.
dreams. I
I'm
still
sure
fall
you
asleep
do.
to a doctor beat every night. But
So there's
busy
that.
times. Yeah,
Busy
yeah. Hopefully
times.
answers soon.
Hopefully answer
And
soon.
health
Um,
until then.
yeah, I hate it for him. Yeah, it's awful. Um, and other than that, I'm getting ready to hopefully this week, all of them, we'll see before I leave, deliver the
Hmm.
screen-free activity bins.
Hmm. Awesome.
Which in case you weren't aware of this, if maybe this is your first time listening, uh,
Hi.
yeah, hello, welcome.
Oh, for
Um,
goodness.
I know we're not going to do the whole intro again. Um,
I'm sorry.
I partnered with my library. I'm at the Morton Public Library to apply for a community grant through the Morton Community Foundation, and my idea was placing screen-free activity bins in
Mhm.
businesses around town to promote screen-free waiting for kids and families. The
Mhm.
grant was approved, and I have 5 bins ready to go, and just need to get them delivered. Hopefully, all of
Yeah.
them this week to five different locations. So
Awesome.
very
Awesome.
excited
What a
about that.
exciting milestone.
Yes, it's
Oh,
it's
love
it's
it.
come a long way. It's I
Yeah.
I'm really excited to just see it out in the
Yes.
world and also get them out of my garage
Yeah.
because they're just
Which is your
sitting.
garage still covered in
Yes.
cardboard from
Yes.
the
Yeah, I don't
Spookelmeyer
think we're gonna change it. I
house?
think
Okay.
it's now a permanent fixture. It's
So,
actually been nice because it's cushiony on our feet to walk on.
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So, and
Excellent.
I am dropping the smallest of hints because I
Okay.
this will probably end up being a whole episode in the
Okay.
future. But I submitted my first FOIA
Hmm.
request to
Hmm.
the police department,
Hmm.
and I'm working on something. So I'll
Okay.
leave it at that.
Yeah. Oof. I'd be so intrigued if I didn't maybe know a little bit more, but I won't say anything either.
No spoilers.
No
What's going on with you?
spoilers, but I do have a follow-up item that
Yes.
I don't want to derail our intro too much because again, we have a fabulous interview coming up. But for our
Yes.
loyal listeners, I do want to follow up to episode 45, where I avoided derailing our conversation and said, "Oh, Jordan, the tape. Remind me to tell you something about the tape." And then
Didn't
listening
remind.
back, I was like,
Didn't remind.
you failed me. I failed
I'm so
myself. I
sorry.
didn't." And here's what it was all about. I ran a race this weekend.
Oh,
So as we're recording yesterday, and so as we're recording, my legs are currently like
Jello.
they're not as bad, but they're tight.
Yeah.
These hammies have seen some hills because it was a trail half marathon, which a
Wow.
half marathon by definition is like 13 and change
13.1?
miles. Yeah, 13.1. This was 15
Oh
miles.
my
So,
gosh,
but
Ellen.
at least I knew that going in this time. Sometimes they kind of just get you and you're like, why am I not done with this? But I knew. And I also knew the elevation profile of these trails. I hadn't run out there before. It's called the Crimea River Trail Runs, and it starts in like Chillicothe, kind of North Peoria area out by Detweiler Park,
Okay.
but a little further, or Camp Wakanda, if you're familiar with that. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful, beautiful area. And I want to go explore it more. But yeah, it was essentially up and down and up and down, like 100 to 200 feet climbs.
Oh
But
man.
then in my head, I'm like, what goes up must come down because I had seen the map and knew that they called it shark bite trails because you just see these like rigid,
Jaggedy.
jaggedy. Yep, we're going up, we're going down, we're going up, we're going down.
Okay.
And I had counted beforehand. It was like, well, there's 22 like hills total
You
because it's out
counted
and
them.
back. So you go out to one, you turn around, you're coming back. So everything you go up before, you're gonna go down the other way and vice versa. And I was telling Mitch this, and for some reason we had also been talking about you guys road tripping and your tape that you put in the
Oh,
car,
painter's tape.
the
Yes.
painter's tape that every what half hour or
Every 30
something,
minutes we
every
put
30
a
minutes
new.
you take
Yep.
one down or you
Yep.
put it up.
We start with all of
You
them so you
start
can
with all
see
of them,
all
then
of
you
them.
yeah,
And then every
yeah,
30
and then it's
minutes
your
we rip
little
a piece
countdown.
down.
So
Yeah.
Mitch told me I should put 22 pieces of tape on my arm.
It's slowly rip off.
Uh-huh.
Did you do
Yeah.
it?
No, of
Oh,
course.
okay.
I mean, I don't know if you have been outside much lately, but
Well,
even at 6 a.m., it
it's
was a
quite
little
sweaty.
humid, a little toasty. I
Yeah.
was literally wringing my shorts out like on the
Oh
course.
no.
So yeah, no, I
No
know painter's
painter's
tape
tape.
has magical properties, but it was not sticking to
It
these arms.
cannot go against that sweat. No.
But long story short, I got third place. I heard someone at the start line
Amazing.
saying, like, I bet, or like, I already know, like to their friend group. She's like, I already know we're going one, two, three. And I'm standing kind of behind them,
Not
like,
today.
kind of the third place queen. Like, I'm never gonna win a race other than the race that I won before, but like, I feel like I kind of, and sure enough, I went back and forth with this girl for a while. And then at one point, I was kind of like, okay,
The
we'll
painter's
see.
tape, it
See you
could have
again,
slowed you
maybe.
down. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't
Yeah.
do
There
it.
were enough things already. The only, like, again, legs kind of sore, but I was wearing a vest to carry my water and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's a running vest, but it's Mitch's, so it's not like a woman's fit. And it
Hmm.
was rubbing. I've got like a
Oh
burn
no.
on my shoulder. It is raw
You
and
need to get your
not
own.
great, but this is
Yep.
what I do, and I want to keep doing it. This was kind of my test of like, if I can
Amazing.
endure this, I think I want to do a 30-mile race this fall, Jordan.
Holy
So
moly.
I won't take over this show with my niche ultra marathoning content, but for anyone out there who happens to fall into these two categories of
Right.
parenting screens and all the things,
And
and
30-mile
also, hey,
runs.
30-mile runs in the woods,
Sure.
hit me up.
Yeah,
But
that's not
anyway,
me. It's not me. But that's amazing.
that's my form
Congratulations.
of play. That's how I get
Yes.
out in nature and play and find community and all the fabulous things that we're going to be
I
talking
was gonna
about
say,
today
speaking
with
of play.
Kevin Steinhardt. So, unless you've got anything else, Jordan,
No.
let's
Ex
just get
I,
to it.
I
But
do.
except
I
for,
I want
yes,
people, hello,
I I'm Helen
hello.
Plevka-Jones.
You did it again. Uh I used to think this sounded like cringy to say it, but I'm gonna say it because it really does actually help. Subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And also leave us a review with the 5 stars so that other people can find us. I still don't totally understand how the algorithm thing works, but I know that positive reviews is positive for us. So
Absolutely.
there you go.
All right.
Like, subscribe, all the things.
Do the
And now
thing.
enjoy
Enjoy
this
this.
wonderful conversation with Kevin Steinhardt.
So we are here with Kevin Stinehart. Kevin Stinehart is a nationally recognized educator, Clemson doctoral candidate, and leading voice on what modern childhood is missing. His groundbreaking after-school play club inspired a statewide free play initiative from the South Carolina Department of Education while producing dramatic reductions in discipline referrals and large academic gains. Featured in The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt, Kevin writes for the New York Post and at The Inputs Children Need on Substack, where he connects research, classroom practice, parenting, and community change to restore the childhood kids need to thrive. And Jordan, I know you, as you do with many of our guests, you became familiar with Kevin's work and kind of brought him into this space. So do you want to share more about how you became familiar with him?
Yeah, well, first of all, welcome.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I I realized I first saw your Substack post. I went back and I looked. I was like, when was the
Mm,
first time I started reading what you were putting out there? It was the May 26th. The problem isn't kids these days, it's
mm,
childhood these days. Why the capacities adults demand are built from the experiences modern life keeps taking away. And I loved the chart, the infographic or, the image
yeah,
that you
thank
paired
you.
with
Yeah.
that, which was incredible. And then I realized later, oh, I have read your name before because I read The Anxious Generation. So for anyone listening who has read The Anxious Generation, you have also read about Kevin. I went back and looked page 251 in chapter 11, talking about the play club that you put in place at your school.
Hmm.
And I'll ask some questions about that later. But
Yeah.
talk to us about kind of, I mean, being featured in a book that is this, huge worldwide hit. What attention or, feedback have you gotten, not just from the book, but maybe also from like your Substack posts? Because I've seen some, like
Yeah.
they get some real traction, lots of reposts and all of that kind of stuff. So what has it been like to get this type of attention?
Yeah, I mean, it's been incredibly exciting, very surreal, especially after the first year the book came out, all of the end of year lists. It's like Oprah and Bill Gates and Barack Obama. And I'm like, this is wild, which obviously I'm a blip in a very amazing, thick book, but just excited to be a
Still,
part of
yeah.
something that turned into, I mean, honestly, a worldwide phenomenon at this point. We went to Finland last year, and as soon as I got off the plane in the bookstore, I'm like, there's the anxious generation. It's
Wow.
wild. But yeah, it's been incredible. I mean, this is work that, we've been doing since 2019 is when I started the play club at my school. And we saw such dramatic gain so quickly. And I know we'll talk about that later, but it's just exciting to get to share that with a broader audience because I mean, I live in a small town in South Carolina and I would guess most of the people here still don't know our story. But there
Hmm.
are people across the world that now know our story. So
Right.
really exciting to get to share all of that. And, like you said, I'm working on my doctorate right now, and there's so much great research and literature that's out there, but it's just not been translated into parent-friendly language. And it's often the academics are talking to academics, and parents are talking to parents, and teachers are talking to teachers. So it's been really fun just getting to synthesize some of that for people.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
I noticed in your email signature that you were Teacher of the Year 2020
Yeah.
to 2021. So what did it feel like to get that recognition?
Yeah, that was so exciting. It was, yeah, honestly, just a huge surprise. We're a very big school district, and I'm someone, if you know my story, which I know you don't really know my whole background, but I never dreamt of becoming a teacher. I didn't like school. So it was a long, winding road to become a teacher. So then to be, a successful teacher, like to have any kind of accolade or any recognition was just amazing. So then all of a sudden I was in Columbia near the state capitol and, a
Mm.
candidate for state teacher of the year of South Carolina. And just, yeah, just so surreal this entire journey has been. But I really love it. Absolutely. Teaching third grade. I used to teach fourth grade. I now teach third grade. It really is my calling. Like I run into parents at the grocery store the last week that are like, are you ready to go back to school? I'm like, I actually am. I genuinely love what I do. I love
Oh,
teaching.
Oh, I love that. I said the
Yeah.
same thing to Jordan the other day. I'm like, I am so ready for August. I know I'm like alone over here, but I'm ready for it. And I would
Mhm.
actually love to hear a bit more of that background and what did ultimately bring you to teaching, and also curious to hear more about your doctoral work as well. Kind of when and why you made that decision to pair your teaching with the research and the advocacy I know you're doing. I just want to hear all about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so I was someone that really didn't know what they wanted to do for their career. I knew I wanted to go to college and wanted to be as educated as I could be, but had no clue what major to pick. So I just picked communications, which is what I feel like a lot of people pick when they don't know what they want to do. And then I've always made short films since I was little with like VHS cameras and everything back
Oh,
in the
cool.
day. So I was like, well, I really like film and video. I'll just, do film and video. So I changed from a communications major to a film and video production major, got my undergrad in film and video production, and did that freelance for several years. And it was fun, and sometimes it was really good money, but it wasn't super meaningful. And I was like, I
Mhm.
really want to do something that is more meaningful, that gives back. In some capacity. And my entire life, my parents, my sister, my friends, everybody are like, you need to be a teacher. You're so good with kids. You would be a
Mhm.
phenomenal teacher. And like I said, it was one of those things of like, why would I be a teacher? I don't even like school. But I eventually came to the same realization people had told me about. It just took me a long time to wise up. And so I went back and got my master's of arts in teaching. And in the during the day, I worked as a teacher assistant to get some experience and kind of get my foot in the door in the school district here. And then at night was doing my master's. It was before you could do Zoom classes or anything, so had to drive at night and we had a newborn, and so it was very stressful and a lot of
Wow.
work and not much money as a teacher assistant. But yeah, once I had my master's and was certified to teach, began teaching and it immediately was like, yes, this is absolutely what I should have done. So and since then, I've just, yeah, enjoyed teaching and then had so many people, especially veteran teachers, say, kids today are not like the way they used to be. Kids used to be very different. And I was really fascinated by that question and noticed that tons of our kids were struggling, but had no clue what the answer would be. And so the more I did research, and once I attended the U.S. Play Coalition's conference, which is down here just up the road at Clemson University. They actually just moved to Indiana University, but they've been at Clemson for
Oh,
years and years.
Interesting. Okay.
Um, I got to get acquainted with researchers from around the world that were talking about the benefits of unstructured play. And it blew my mind, like literally in one weekend. It completely transformed my views on childhood
wow.
because, when you're doing teacher preparation programs, you're hearing about Maslow's hierarchy of needs and Piaget and all of these heady things. And then you get in the classroom and the rubber meets the road and you're like, okay, we know best practices, but we can't always actually make best practices happen. Like, so these kids are struggling, but I don't really know why. But I have this groundwork of kind of knowing what kids are supposed to have. But at that conference, meeting people like Peter Gray spoke that year and Stuart Brown spoke that year, like the actual like godfathers of play research were there, and I got to meet them and hear from them. It completely revolutionized my idea of, oh, it clicked. Kids today, the one thing that's so different about kids today compared to every other generation is for every other generation since the dawn of humanity, kids have had copious amounts of unstructured free play with peers, neighborhood kids, siblings, in my case in West Michigan, out on the streets and on the sidewalks. And I
Mhm.
actually calculated and realized I spent just as much time in unstructured free play growing up as I did in school. Like I was getting an
Mhm.
education, I just had no clue. It was, people talk about book smarts versus street smarts. Like I wouldn't say it was street smarts. It was not a rough town where I grew up, but you really are learning
Yeah.
interpersonal skills and
Mhm.
communication
Yeah.
skills, how to negotiate, how to start something and keep it going, how to, all of those things that we didn't realize we were learning. We thought we were just having fun. But when I put all of that together, I realized I really need to take this to the next level and dive deep into this. And so when our school district started cohorts with Clemson University, where they would help us with reducing the tuition cost, it was just another no-brainer. Like this is the next right thing to pursue my doctorate and get to study this, in a different way and in a deeper level.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And I just love
Yeah.
hearing the joy and curiosity you bring to that work too, because
Mhm.
just a little bit more about myself. I'm in the higher ed space now. I work with secondary English teacher ed candidates.
Yeah.
But also going through my PhD program, you see people that just get so kind of single track mind on the research and what they're doing and getting the next
Mhm.
thing and whatever. But just to hear your story moving through education in all these different ways is really cool and encouraging.
And that's the thing I
Um,
love about my program. It's very practitioner based, so it's an
mhm.
EDD, not a PhD.
Right. Yeah.
So we look at a problem of practice, just something in
Hmm.
our school that isn't running well, and then we study
Hmm.
from there. So it's very much classroom based, observing my students that I'm with all day, every day anyway,
Hmm.
making small iterative changes through PDSA cycles. And a lot of times in academia, we do like these year-long studies or
Hmm.
5-year studies, and like, okay, but that doesn't help the kids that we have right
Right.
now. So
Right.
that's
Yeah.
one thing I really love about this. It's very short
Cool.
term. Like, let's do a month-long study, see
Hmm.
what's working, see what's not working, and then, iterate from there. So
Yeah, very
it's
cool. And
exciting.
I also really appreciate the work you're doing to bring that research, that knowledge to a more public audience as well.
Yes.
I know we've been following your Substack now, and Jordan, you just read yesterday the post
Yeah.
on Stop Doing What Works,
Mhm.
so I know you had a question there.
Yes, yeah. Your
Yeah.
post that you did yesterday. The question is not whether these things can produce. Well, this is I'm pulling from it.
Yeah.
The question is not whether these things can produce short-term order. Of course they can. The question is what they are helping children become. And you open describing, going to a restaurant and seeing,
Hmm.
a dad hand over an iPad in a moment of maybe I need to calm this child down.
Hmm.
There's stuff going on. We've all seen it.
Hmm.
And it's something just in my own community that I'm really working on those moments of waiting, promoting screen-free waiting. And I
Hmm.
kind of want to tie that in just as a real short. I got a community grant to create these screen-free activity bins that I'm putting around businesses in my town.
That's cool.
And when I read that, I thought, okay, yes, he's you get it. And it's so normal. You see it everywhere. Normalized. I shouldn't say normal. It's been normalized that you
Hmm.
look around and it's like children aren't allowed to be children out in public spaces. We say don't give them the devices, but then they act like a child, and then it's, oh
Hmm.
no, quiet that kid down.
Yep.
So, can you talk about what those moments of things like using devices to quiet children or distract them or entertain them, what you see that doing to childhood and parenting?
Yeah. I mean, the real question for me is just, or my real thoughts right now are just that screens definitely matter, but the deeper question is what they've replaced. So, play and movement and boredom, independence, responsibility, real peer life, like all the things that you were talking about, like patience, especially.
Mhm.
I mean, even for me, even for adults, I don't want to wait in this
Right.
line at the post office for that long, so I'm going to pull out my phone and be distracted. It's very easy. And so, what it does though, for all of us, I mean, again, not shaming the dad that gave the kid an iPad at the restaurant
Yeah.
or anyone else, but what it does is it really creates less friction. It's a less friction. There's a lot less friction in childhood when we're giving kids screens. And again, same for us. And so over time, that decreases their capacity, because all of it is really about reps. It's about practicing things over and over again. So if you want a child to be patient, they have to practice being patient again and again and again. And so um, a lot of that I've seen with my students. It's very clear which students have devices and use them a lot at home and which ones don't. Like it's a pretty clear dichotomy. And
Mhm.
especially, I mean, we could go into development, maturity, which students are seem to be maturing faster in some ways and which ones aren't. Because that's another thing that I see a lot in the classroom is kids that are of a certain age, but they act much younger. They break down very quickly and in
Yeah.
a way that past generations didn't do. And of course, there are going to be kids that, have neuroatypicalities and are going to struggle anyway. But when the baseline is so far off, it becomes obvious that something is happening. And so often it is tracked to screen time. And again, not just that the screens themselves are evil, but that they're replacing those
Right.
constant reps of we could be talking right now. You could be practicing patience. You could look around and see an insect and be curious. It could spark curiosity in so many different capacities. We want kids to have social connection, self-regulation, all those things. But when they're staring at a screen for hours on end, and let's be honest, it's never just 1 second. Even for myself, I'm going to pull out my phone for a second, and all of a
Mhm.
sudden it's 30 minutes later, because that's the way they're designed to be.
Right.
then kids just aren't practicing those. And so they're not developing those skills. And so schools, we have not adapted quickly enough with the changing times. And so we still often treat those behaviors like they're behavior issues when a lot of times kids are just very under practiced due to having less inputs.
Oh my gosh, Kevin, I think you became my new best friend. All of these things that you're saying.
Exactly.
I'm curious, with your students and
Hmm.
parents, how many of them kind of know, what you're working on and you put yourself out there publicly with, your
Yeah.
Substack and LinkedIn, all the
Hmm.
things. Has there been any discussion within now your classroom with families about how to manage these types of things and how to, delay as long as possible? Like, has that conversation
Yeah.
kind of come up maybe more organically because people know what you're working on?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny, but honestly, I don't think people in town know who I am or what I'm working on or anything other than just, oh, that's my kid's teacher kind of thing. And I don't know if it's
Yeah.
because it's a small town and more rural, more high poverty. I'm not sure the
Okay.
reason, but genuinely, yeah, most people have no clue what I do. Even, when we offer play club at school, which we offer both semesters every year, like a lot of parents have never heard of play club, don't know what it is,
Hmm.
don't even understand that it's not childcare. Like I think a lot of parents still just think of it like, hey, free childcare. You want to take my kid for an hour and a half? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And don't know that there's so much going on developmentally, and that's really the reason behind play club. But it is
Mhm.
exciting too because again, I get to put myself in like a translator position of saying there's all this great information out there that I didn't know as a parent, and you probably didn't know as a parent, and I can talk to you about it. And so
Mhm.
it does open the door, when I am able to talk about it. But yeah, for the most part, people don't know anything that I've done or my writing or anything.
Wow, that's so interesting. Well,
Which
and
But
also
it's
is
not the
funny because
yeah.
go ahead.
Oh, I was
no,
just gonna
Helen, you
say,
go.
Yeah.
no, that it's not the first time we've heard that either. When we interviewed
Mm,
Emily Churkin, it was a similar thing. She's doing all this advocacy at a national level, but then on her local school board, they
Yeah.
won't give her the
Couldn't
time
make
of day.
any.
Just that,
yeah.
anecdotally, but that kind of thing too, that it makes you think about, okay, here are the good parts of the internet, or just, the
Yeah.
ability to
Right.
connect
Mhm.
beyond our small local spheres.
Yeah, and it's kind of a niche thing. I mean, we do
Yeah.
have, being close to Clemson University, there are a lot of
Mhm.
academic parents, so they might have heard of the Anxious Generation or read it. But it's
Yeah.
funny, like for, maybe a year and a half, every time I'd go to Walmart here in town, there was the Anxious Generation in the book
I'm in
section. I'm
there.
like, my name is in there, but nobody in the store has a clue, which is kind of
Just
You're
fun.
sign there.
secretly
Just
signing
sign,
it.
Oh gosh, no. My ego is not that big.
Or just a business card or something that you
Yeah,
slip
yeah.
in there. Follow me on Substack.
Uh,
Um, well, I'm gonna pause. I'm curious. I assume you're a millennial. Like,
I am. I'm an
uh,
elder millennial, 1983.
okay, 1986, and
Mhm.
Helen's
Nice.
a younger
Nine,
millennial.
93.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And you are a dad.
I
Yes.
am. Yeah, I have two
Mhm.
daughters. One's 16 and one's 12.
Oh
Wow.
my
Okay. So
God.
Yep.
you're in the teen and
We're
preteen
in it.
space. Well, I'm curious
Uh-huh.
then, having obviously
Yeah.
having been featured in the Anxious Generation,
Hmm.
um, it makes me wonder for your kids what it's like to
Yeah.
have dad featured in this big, major bestseller. But then
Yeah.
I also wonder have they read, or maybe you're younger,
Hmm.
The Amazing Generation, that
Yeah, I
the new one.
pre-ordered the Amazing Generation, and
Yeah.
my youngest, yeah, read it. I mean, probably in 2 hours. Like she
Yeah.
devoured it, and she
Wow.
still posted to me. I mean, 3 days ago, she's like, Jonathan Haidt says if you take your phone out at a meal, like you should probably penalize yourself 10 minutes later. You don't get to be on it or whatever. That may not be exactly right. She may be remembering it wrong, but that's what she told me.
I love
Um,
it.
New
no,
family
it's great.
rule.
And it's such a great book. Like I flipped through it. I didn't read every page, but I was like, this is such a good practical way to get these ideas out to more kids and even, even older kids. Like I know the age
Yeah.
limit says on the book is maybe, I don't know, 9 to 12 or something. But
12,
I'm
yeah.
like, honestly, my 16-year-old, I
Yes.
think would benefit greatly from it. No, but having a 16-year-old, it's exactly what you would think having a teenager, because when The Anxious Generation first hit number one on the New York Times bestseller list, my wife was like, isn't this so cool? The book that dad is in is number one in the world on the New York Times bestseller list for nonfiction. And she goes, nonfiction, though. Does anybody read nonfiction?
Oh my gosh,
Because she is
shade.
a teenager.
Does anyone read nonfiction? Oh my gosh, I love that.
That's
No, but my
hilarious.
youngest one is very anti-screens right now. So we're having that discussion a lot of like, screens themselves are not evil. Like I'm using a screen right now.
Right.
Like there are really great uses for them, but we want to balance it. But for now, since she's 12, I'd rather if she wants to go that route of being anti-screen, that's fine. We'll let her go that route for a while.
Yeah.
Like we just drove, to Michigan and it's with stops and everything. It's 14 hours. She has an iPad that my stepmother-in-law got her that we didn't know she was going to get her for Christmas. And she has it and we're like, use it, watch a
Yeah.
movie, whatever on the trip. She didn't
Right.
break it out once the entire way
Dang,
there and the entire
girl.
way
Wow.
home, which I was proud of. Like,
That's
I don't
impressive.
Yeah.
wild. Yeah. So she
Wow.
made bracelets and read and made more
Oh.
bracelets. And that's a long time. So yeah,
Yeah.
and then so
14
my other
hours.
daughter, we held out for any kind of phone, even a dumb phone, until she was 15. And then when she turned 15, we had a long discussion about we're going to give you a phone. It's very locked down. There's not much you can do with it, but we want to slowly, gradually release you over the next few years because you'll be 18, sadly, before we want you to be.
Wow. Yeah.
And so we're like, when you turn 16, we'll let you have your first social media of any kind. It will still be, a teen account, and we'll talk through all those things and stuff. So that was a moment where I was really proud too, because when she turned 16 this last December, we were like, okay, so let's, have to talk about what social media we want to let you have first and all the things. And she's like, I don't think I'm really ready for social media yet. Like,
Wow.
especially with school about to start for the next semester, I don't want to be distracted. And I was like, wow. Because she was one of those kids, like most kids, like,
I
when do I
want to
get a
do
phone? When do I get social media? Like,
math.
come
Uh-huh.
on, come on. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think by holding off, that it really gave her time to wise up a little bit and not crave it as much as she
Mhm.
thought she would, or as much as she did when she was, 12, 13,
Mm.
14.
Yeah.
So
Mm.
really
Well,
exciting.
that tells me you guys are having these conversations are coming up regularly,
Hmm.
in your family and in your household. And then I'm sure with her peers,
Hmm.
people are talking about who has it, who doesn't,
Hmm.
So I was a high school counselor, and then Helen
All right.
also, she taught high school English. That's how we met. We worked at the same high
Very cool.
school.
My wife's a middle school counselor.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Yeah. So
nice.
she gets it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, and so I'm wondering, well, maybe I'm gonna just jump into my I have so many questions now that I just want
Go
to
for
ask
it.
you.
Great. Yeah.
Um, how about I want to make sure we cover play club and give
Yeah.
enough time for play club.
Hmm.
So, like we mentioned before, you're, featured in Jonathan Haidt's The Anxious Generation. And can you talk about the process of getting that started? Like who did you talk to? Was it principal? Was it superintendent? Did you face any pushback? Was it a welcomed thing? Kind of what was that process like?
Yeah, this is the least exciting part of my story, and that I
That's
feel like
fine.
I always have to start with that caveat because our school district, even though it's a public school district and it's, pretty high poverty, and we have all of the same pressures as every other school district, we really, because, I mean, solely, I'll give him credit, our superintendent is a big believer in the power of play. And
Mhm.
so when he took that stance, probably a decade ago, he has a connection in Finland and Finnish public schools. They do the 45-15 model. So they do 45 minutes of instruction, 15
Yeah.
minutes recess all day long, every day. And when he visited their schools, he was like, we need to bring some of this back to our school district. And one of the things that was easy to do was more play. So, instead of one recess, what if we did two recesses and things
Hmm.
like that? So when I presented the idea to my principal, she was like, pretty much immediately, like, yeah, like our superintendent always says, let the kids play. So you're trying to get them to play after school. It's not going to take any time away from instruction. It's not going to cost any
Right.
extra money. Doesn't even take prep time. Like, why would I say no to that? So it was a very easy ask, which I know is not the case in many places, which is why I say
Yeah.
it's not a great story because most people don't get to experience that. But it is the honest answer. So it was very easy for us. But the thing about Play Club is whether you do it before school or after school, it should be a pretty easy ask because, we already have recess in those same locations. And it's, like I said, not taking time away from instruction because it's
Right.
before or after school. Doesn't cost any money because you don't have to provide materials. I mean, you can, but you don't have to. Like every week I go to the cafeteria and just get the boxes that they're recycling and bring those out to the playground. That's a free, loose parts play kind of thing.
Hmm.
And then some kids will bring their own basketball from home or football or whatever. So in that sense, it's like a before or after school recess. And the other thing, teachers always complain about like I don't have time to prep for extra things. I don't want to lose minutes of instruction. So it's kind of a genius way to get around all of those things and just provide what childhood used to provide naturally, just
Yeah.
unstructured free play, which it is really sad because there's a huge demand. Like every time we open up registration for Play Club, we'll have about 100 applications, and I can only take 40 kids.
Mm.
Oh,
So
wow.
I usually will sneak more like 45, so that I can do about half the first semester, and then if you didn't get in the fall semester, I'll like make sure that you get in the spring semester. But that's a whole semester where kids just aren't getting to play with kids. That's something that used to come so naturally to us growing up,
Mhm.
that we now have to like fight for and find places for. So I love the
Mhm.
idea of what'd you call them, the play boxes that you got a
Yeah,
grant for? Yeah,
screen-free activity bins.
activity bins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's such a
Yeah.
great idea because yeah, now it doesn't come as naturally to kids, and so trying to provide those places or materials or just
Mhm.
pop the idea into their head like you could be playing right now.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
It's so big, and it's you're fighting an upstream battle because like society has changed so
Mhm.
drastically. If I
Yeah.
look out my window right now, we have sidewalks here and everything, and there are no kids outside. And if I had a time machine and went back a few decades, there'd be kids all day, every day, riding their bikes by, walking by. Like,
Yeah.
so society's just changed so much. So
Mhm.
play clubs and bins like that are just great ways to get kids to not only think about the fact that, yeah, I could be playing and I probably should be playing and I want to play anyway.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so providing those opportunities are amazing.
Yeah, and I think the key thing to me, in reading your work and hearing you talk, it's this idea of opportunities. It's like that
Mhm.
Mm,
impulse hasn't changed in kids. Your
right.
your own kids being a great demonstration. The
Hmm.
kids we worked with or, met this summer, we did a book
Oh,
club with the
yeah.
Amazing Generation
That's
and
awesome.
had 11, 8 to 12-year-old girls who came.
Mhm.
And same thing, even when I mentioned, oh yeah, and Jordan's got these activity bins. They're like, that's so cool. We
Mhm.
want to go see him. Where can we go? So
That's
like
very
it's
cool.
the impulse is there. They want to play. They just don't have
Hmm.
these opportunities that, like you said, used to come naturally, but now we
Hmm.
have to create these spaces so that
Yeah. And that's
they
the thing, even for teenagers, even for my
yeah.
16-year-old daughter, like they want to play, they want to hang out with their
Mhm.
friends. They'd rather be face to face. But,
Mhm.
for all of the different reasons, they can't be as much as normal, as much as
Mhm.
childhood used to provide. So then they often turn to screens for social
Mhm.
media or for video games with friends online or whatever, because when they've actually studied it, when they've surveyed teens, they say overwhelmingly they would rather be with their friends in person if they had the choice between screens and hanging out with their friends. And I
Right.
found that, with my own daughter, like any situation that we've been in where she could have been on her phone, but she had friends there, she will always
Mhm.
turn to her friends.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
We
Yeah.
want to be in
human
community with
connection, yeah.
others. Like we want to
Mhm.
Mm,
connect with people.
yeah,
Mhm.
Um,
absolutely.
One of the other questions I wanted to ask you about Play Club was what were some of those changes that you noticed like right away? And then
Yeah,
what has changed maybe about school culture or like what are some of those long-term changes?
yeah,
I'm sure I know you talked about discipline, like discipline changed and
yeah.
behavior changes and the classroom changed. So what are some of those benefits to having Play Club?
Yeah, I mean, at first it was not really anything obvious because some kids, it was like maybe if you have your own personal children, you're like, get off of me, go play, stop talking. Like I want you to go play with all these kids because it
Yeah.
doesn't come as naturally for a lot of kids. When I was
Mm,
their age, I'd been like, yes, let's go. Like I finally
see
have some
ya.
freedom and run off. But for a lot of them, like, what do I do? I don't know where to start. I don't know, I don't have any friends here yet or whatever. So for some kids, it is harder. For other kids, they jumped in pretty quickly. Um, but we started having just random like stories, like when we observed things, like all these little moments where at first it was like, oh, that's kind of a cool little moment. But then you start to realize over time, like, oh, this is actually a life-changing kind of event. So a few of those stories, like we had this one boy that didn't really have any friends at school and kind of walked around just kind of angry, like chip on his shoulder kind of kid. And, other kids kind of saw him as a bully, but I'm like, this is not a kid that's a bully. He just, doesn't have friends. He's probably lonely. He's clearly sad. So I asked
Mhm.
his parent if she would consider signing him up for play club. And she's like, yeah, sure. So she signed him up for play club. And some of the kids were even like kind of nervous about him being there because, again,
Mm.
this was a kid that, yeah, just kind of came off as angry.
Mhm.
And he often had behavior issues and would lose recess, which that's a pet
Oh,
peeve of mine,
Yeah.
obviously. But some
Yeah.
teachers
yeah.
would take away his recess. And so in an average week, he would maybe get like 15 minutes to play, which is, I mean, wild.
Yeah.
And I knew that he wasn't getting it at home either. So I'm like, this kid doesn't even have time to connect and make friends with kids. But over the course of 1 week, he had three different office referrals from three different teachers. And that was kind of the moment where I was like, yeah, we need to see what we can do. And so that's when I talked to his parent about him joining Play Club. And he joined Play Club, and it was kind of predictable. Like nobody really played with him. He just kind of walked around like he normally did, like chip on his shoulder. And then after about an hour, a kid kicked a ball to him. I was like, interesting. And then he kicked the ball back. I'm like, okay, cool. And then they kept kicking it back and forth. And then eventually he started running. And we'd never even really seen him run, partially because he's losing his recess, partially because he didn't have a reason to run. He,
Yeah.
just kind of a loner kid. And then he started smiling. We've never seen this kid smile before. And
Wow.
after the first day, we saw him laugh, and we'd never seen him laugh before. The teacher that was supervising Play Club with me actually started crying because it was such a
Oh my
dramatic
gosh.
transformation in one day. And it
Yeah.
was just, when you can get over those like basic labels of like, like troubled kid or whatever, like behavior kid or whatever, like and see, no, there are deep down core issues that we all have. And connection is a huge one. And he really didn't have a place in our school community, didn't see himself as even like, what's my purpose of even being here? I don't have any friends. Nobody cares or misses me if I'm gone. So he developed
Mm.
friends over the course of weeks at Play Club after that, and then stopped actually having behavior referrals at all. Like stopped his major behaviors at school went away all the way through the rest of his time with us. Like we go through fifth grade. So all the way through fifth grade, never had another office referral. And then by all accounts, I think he's in high school now, is still
Wow.
doing great. So one of those really cool stories. But we have, I mean, so many other stories like that. A lot of them are smaller moments. I don't know if you just want me to tell stories. I can tell stories.
I
Yeah, I
love
mean that's
But
stories.
yeah.
Yeah.
transformative, you know?
So this is another really cool story. There's a girl student of ours that was just very kind, very polite, very docile, like the kind of kid that would apologize if you bumped into her, uh, and could potentially grow up to be, a doormat kind of person if experiences like real life experiences, screen-free experiences in the real world didn't stop that from becoming the truth. Because one day her younger brother wanted to play football with some older boys at Play Club, and like our normal teacher mode, if we see a kid left out, we're like, okay, guys, let everybody play. Everybody needs to have
Right.
a part. Or honestly, like teachers, we probably would have just picked the teams and said, here's what it is. But in Play Club, we truly let them go free. Like we're there in case something happens. We'll step in right away if anything happens, but we take really the position of a lifeguard. So we're present, but we're not interfering. We're not
Mm.
really even communicating. Like unless something happens or someone needs to go to the restroom or something. Everything is up to the kids in Play Club. And what I found time and time again in Play Club is that when adults step back is when kids can step up. And so we use Let Grow, which is a nonprofit, Let Grow's
Oh
Play
yeah.
Club model and all of their free resources. And that's one of their big quotes that I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then I've seen it time and time again. And this is the exact perfect story of that, because normally I would have stepped in as a teacher, like, stop being mean, let this kid play with you. But the older boys wouldn't let the younger brother play, and they just completely ignored him. They didn't even say no. He's like, "Can I play football?" And the quarterback's like, "Hike," and just runs another play. He's like, "Guys, please, can I play?" And runs another play. Hike again and again. And so the bigger sister sees what's happening to her younger brother being left out. And so she kind of walks over there. I'm like, this is going to be interesting because this is a kid that does not speak up ever. And it just kept happening until finally she like physically got close to the quarterback. And when he went to hike the ball again, she smacked the ball out of his hand straight to the ground and stared him in the face and said, "Let him play." And it was like
Wow.
one of those like record scratch moments from a movie. Like everything stopped, like time stopped, all the kids stopped playing. They just stared, like, because again, this is pretty dramatic for this girl who's
Yeah.
never spoken up about anything,
Yeah.
speak up so dramatically. And she wasn't violent. She didn't touch him, like nothing like that. But it was a real
Sure.
confrontation. And so the quarterback had this moment where like all of these kids that look up to him are like, "What are you gonna do, bro?" kind of thing. And he's like, "Okay, he can play." And let him play. And like every single kid that day learned a great lesson. Like I'm
Yeah.
sure the younger brother was like, my sister really cares about me. She really loves me.
Yeah.
And all of the kids playing are like, okay, you can be a leader and kind of be a jerk if you want to, but it doesn't always work out in the long run.
Mm.
Like there were a few moments where it seemed like it was working, but then eventually when there's enough friction, then something's going to happen. And So I'm sure the quarterback learned a great lesson that day too. Like this is not really pay off if I'm constantly, aggressive or a jerk or just ignore people.
Yeah.
Uh, So, and then, I mean, obviously the sister learned probably the most obvious lesson. Like from that day forward, she had a lot more confidence. Like she could
Hmm.
actually
My
speak up a
voice
little bit for herself.
matters.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
learned that she even had a voice. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like such a cool story. We had another story where a bunch of kids were just raking a pile of leaves. It was autumn and just making this big pile of leaves and then jumping into it and then fixing the pile again and jumping into it. I mean, there's probably 10 kids. And they like organize themselves into a line. It's so funny because like none of the teachers are doing it, but they're like, make a line, guys. And but then this kid just came and sat down right in the middle of their leaf pile and just stared at them, kind of like, what are you gonna do?
Mhm.
And they're like, move, move, get out of the way. Like, obviously. And he just didn't. Like, he just kind of crossed his arms and it's like, not moving.
Hmm.
And so they're kind of like discussing amongst themselves, like, what do we do? Like, should we make another leaf pile? Like, what should we do? And then, finally realizing the pile was like big enough, they're like, just jump around him. So the kids started like jumping like to the left and to the right of him. And then he realized this isn't working and he just got up and walked away, like, never said a word the whole time. But like he was
Oh my
obviously trying to
gosh.
get attention and not doing it in a
Right.
great way. And then in the end, they just ignored him. So he didn't even get the attention he wanted. And
Right.
like just so many great little moments like that, like over the years. So we started in 2019. So we've done this a good bit and we have um a lot of times we'll do like a summer session of play club, fall session, and then spring session. So
Mm.
a lot of years we'll get well over 100 kids in play club. The last couple of years we've only done the fall session and the spring session just due to organizational things of wanting all clubs to start at the same time and end at the same
Yeah.
time. You know how giant bureaucracies can be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we've had hundreds and hundreds of kids now go through play club, so you can imagine all the moments and stories and things that we've seen.
Since you end with fifth grade, I'm curious, has there been
Mhm.
any discussion, when they move on to, I don't know if it's junior high or middle school,
Yeah,
what
middle
you guys
school.
call it, middle school,
Yep.
of having something similar, like at the middle school level? Has that been a
Yeah. There's
discussion?
been chatter about doing a formal play club. No one has done one yet in our school district, but school districts have essentially, or schools within our district have essentially done the same thing. Where my wife works, actually, her middle school started, and I wrote about this on my Substack a few days ago, so you might have seen it. But her school started offering before school play, so they could just hang out, they could play, they could do intramurals, and then they added a recess for middle school, which was really cool. So they started offering some of those things, and it was a dramatic turnaround. So this was a struggling middle school at the time, and Lenore Skenazy actually wrote about this recently in the Post and Courier newspaper.
Oh,
You can look up her article too. But it was a struggling middle school, so the principal realized, we need to start rethinking about what would make kids actually want to be here. Like our attendance is down, performance, as far as grades and everything goes, are down. State standardized test scores are down, and behaviors are really high. So she introduced recess. She introduced before school play. And it had a dramatic turnaround. Kids
hmm.
uh, started coming to school, their behaviors went down. They became one of only two schools that were rated excellent on the state report card. So I
Wow.
mean, it was a dramatic turnaround. And they had so little truancy after introducing so much play that they actually had to let go their attendance clerk. They had to eliminate the position entirely because
Oh
they didn't
no.
have enough attendance issues to
Wow.
warrant an attendance clerk. So just by adding some free play upstream, it had such great downstream effects. So yeah, just kudos to her. I know she's a personal friend. She's amazing.
Hmm.
But just up the road from here, and so that's our same school district. But there haven't been any other official play clubs, but I'm like, I don't care really what you call it, as long as you are giving kids a chance
Yeah.
to connect together and have, time where they can communicate and move and actually socialize. And that's the thing I think that a lot of times teachers don't think about. Like we kind of play whack-a-mole in class with like stop talking, whereas if we
Right.
just gave them 30 minutes at the beginning of the day to talk about like who won the game at the rec center last night or whatever they want to talk about, then during class you don't have to constantly get them to stop talking. And not that they're going to be perfect, obviously, but
Sure.
like there's such a, I don't know, to me at this point in my career it's such an obvious answer, but I know that giant systems that have their incentives and grades and scores that they need to achieve, every minute of instruction is very valuable. So
Mm.
I do get it. But
Yeah. I also feel like middle school kind of gets this forgotten, like they need, just because they went on to middle school, this next level, doesn't mean
Hmm.
they don't still need play. And I would also
Hmm.
hope that the kids that have gone through your play club loved
Yeah.
it so much that they want to keep it going maybe on their own
Hmm.
and develop some kind of,
Absolutely.
outside of school play
Uh,
club.
and that's the thing. I mean, every sector can get involved, a Parks and Rec center, a place of
Yeah.
worship. Like actually our church has started doing that after I talked to our youth group leader and the pastor. They started offering 40 minutes after youth group each week for kids just to have unstructured free
Hmm.
play before their parents come and pick them up. And then our church has started doing after church picnics by this big playground that the church has. So just come and hang out and the kids can have some free play. And it's such a awesome thing because it doesn't have to be schools. It can be parents even. I mean,
Right.
like get a bunch, whoever wants to come, we're going to be at this playground Saturday morning from 9 to 11. There's guaranteed to be at least my kid there and whoever else can get to sign on. Like, so, it can happen in all kinds of different contexts.
You
Yeah.
literally just described Jordan like that.
Oh,
I
nice.
know. Well,
That is
we've got
you.
a group chat of, kindergarten. Well, now they're first graders. It's called the kindergarten group chat, but
Yeah,
first grade group chat where it's, hey, we're going to this park. We're going to be there at 9 if anybody wants to join us.
I
And then
love it.
usually at least, one or two will show up. We also do a group of us stay after school and kind of do our own version. Now my son's school does have a play club and it's
Nice.
capped at a certain number
Hmm.
and usually the older kids kind of get the priority. So
Okay.
my son
Yeah.
got it, I think, first semester, but not second semester.
Okay.
But then
Yeah.
we just started staying after school at the playground anyways with, just a couple
Yeah.
families. And then
Uh-huh.
we sat and just were able to chat as adults with each other. And it's like, you guys just
Hmm.
go, you just go
That's
play.
awesome.
And it was, yeah, the multi-age, unstructured, have
Yeah.
whatever crazy chaos that you want to get out. You want to go climb that tree, go climb that tree.
Uh-huh.
And we're there to be aware if you need us,
Hmm.
we're here, but it's you guys figure out you have squabbles. Sorry, go figure it out. We're not gonna
Uh-huh.
come running and tattletale on whoever.
Absolutely. That's awesome. And yeah, that consistency of like whatever, like whether it's Saturday from 9 to 11 or whatever it is, like just having a set time, like the
Yeah.
kids will the kids will perpetuate it themselves. Like, Mom, can we please go? I know it's happening. Like it happens every single
Right.
time or whatever.
Right.
Like, and so yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and in my case, my son, do you know what Gaga Ball is?
I've heard
Has
of
that
it.
reached you? Gaga Ball
Uh,
is
I still
sweeping the
don't get
nation.
it.
is it like well, you can explain it. I don't know.
So
The
it's like,
It's either the
I
octagon.
know
one
I
in the
call it
corral,
the
I think,
octagon.
or the one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
the corral. Okay.
Yeah, it's not we'd have one of those too. Actually, I don't know what that's called where you kind
Yeah,
of
that
bump the
sounds so
ball up. It's
familiar.
like a
Uh-huh.
volleyball four square kind of
Oh my
situation.
Uh-huh.
gosh.
Yep.
Sounds
But
so
yeah, Gaga
amazing.
Ball is in a closed pen and I
Uh-huh.
don't know the rules. I think my son knows the rules. I'm pretty sure he does. It's like below the knee, but you can't double bounce and there's something called turtling. I don't know, but he loves it. That's all
Nice.
he talks about. That's all he
That's
ever wants
amazing.
to do. So
I
if
love
anybody wants to start a Gaga Ball play club, go right ahead. I
it.
know
Yeah.
you'll have some kids join. Um,
Love it.
I I know, Helen, do you want I feel like I could
Yeah.
keep just
No,
going with
I know,
questions and
same.
questions and
No,
questions.
I
This
just
has
have
been
questions about Gaga. I have a
fantastic.
17-month-old, so we're not quite to the
Oh
Gaga
yeah, not
ball
quite the
phase
Gaga
yet,
Bob.
She's
but
close.
I'm
She's close.
Maybe
yes.
saying Gaga, but that's
Yeah.
That's it. No, I guess, but I'm curious to hear more about, so as a doctoral
yeah.
candidate, I assume
Mhm.
are you working on a dissertation right now, or is it
Yeah, so I'm EBD, everything but dissertation. So we
yes,
just finished
okay.
all of our
Tell us
coursework.
about it. Yeah.
And we just laid out our plans because this is kind of
Mhm.
the infamous spot where people tend to drop off. Like,
Yep.
like, okay, I got to this, but now I'm facing a
Uh-huh.
massive beast. So our program's really good about making us create a schedule and our own deadlines and
Yep.
everything. So that's exactly where I am. I've just created all of that. But thankfully, a lot of our assignments will kind of be able to go into at least the first chapter of my dissertation. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at right now. Once the school year starts, again, being practitioner based, I'll
Hmm.
get to actually know who my students are, see a little bit
Hmm.
more about what my study will look like. Because my problem of practice that I'll study for my dissertation is introducing a 10-minute play reset during the most predictable breakdown point in the day.
Hmm.
So my schedule
Okay.
last year had almost 3 hours of straight instruction in the afternoons. And
Wow.
so that was like predictable breakdown point
Yeah.
where yeah, behaviors increased and yeah, all of the things.
Mhm.
So this year, looking at my new schedule, I'll figure out exactly where that breakdown point is, introduce that 10-minute play reset, and then study it for a few weeks, see what's working, see what's not working, see which students it's, maybe making
Mhm.
more riled up and less likely to get to work. And, because
Mhm.
you're going to have so much variety and so many different students. So that's what it'll look like this year. And then
Okay.
by next summer, hopefully we'll be able to defend. And in August, hopefully of next year, we'll be able to
Heck
participate in
yeah.
Yes.
commencement and all the things.
Wow.
Yes. Oh, well, that's
And
awesome. You're so close.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
I
Yeah.
it's
I enjoyed the
exciting.
writing, but
Yeah, it is
that's
fun,
such a
but
yeah,
its
yeah. And
own thing.
I was just, I was wondering if your research was going to be about Play Club, or I assumed something to do
Yeah.
with play, and
So
I
I have an
love that
adjacent
interview.
study going on with Play
Okay.
Club, like a
Okay.
longitudinal type study that I'm working
Yeah.
on with a different professor who's not a part of my
Okay.
program.
Okay.
So, but and Long Island
Yeah.
University studied our Play Club as well a few years ago, which was really fun to be a part of and kind of laid the groundwork for what's become,
Mm-hmm.
what I'm actually doing myself now. So that was kind of cool,
Yeah.
getting some experience on the other end of just gathering
Yes.
research data and which
Yeah.
students do we look at because I'm, was not a researcher and barely am now in any sense.
Yeah.
So they were like, well, we really shouldn't look at Play Club participants versus the general population of the school because that's too much variety. We need to look at Play Club students versus wait list for Play Club students because those, so many other variables are sifted out
Mm-hmm.
then. These are all kids that want to be in Play Club, which means all of the other things. Their parents can pick
Yeah.
them up at 4 o'clock, which means
Yeah.
they probably have a more flexible
Right.
schedule and reliable
Mm-hmm.
transportation. All the things I
Mm-hmm.
would have never thought of. So
Yeah.
so that was cool.
Yeah.
But the Long Island University study was exciting because, when we started Play Club, we were really just thinking qualitative type things like kids are going to be a little happier and
Mhm.
want to be at school a little more and maybe argue and fight a little bit less, whatever. But the Long Island University study found that our kids that participated in Play Club substantially scored higher for both math and ELA, English Language Arts,
Wow.
on our state standardized tests. So that was pretty exciting.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Because yeah, that's what I love about research like this, that it is action oriented and it's, built in
Mhm.
these stories like you shared, but then being able
Yeah.
to provide that quantitative piece as well helps it
Hmm.
be more, transferable or what, because I'm
Hmm.
thinking about the implications in the high school classroom and even with my,
Yeah.
college teacher candidates who are
Mm.
going through that transition phase of being students, becoming teachers, but
Yep.
there like I've tried little things like doing a playground on a day. I taught a three
Nice.
hour class a
Oh,
year
wow.
ago. So it's like we reached
Wow.
those break points, right?
Uh-huh.
Where they
Well, that's the
needed more
thing.
than
Yeah.
just
Nobody
yeah,
needs to sit that long. Little children,
right.
big children,
No.
adults.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We always say, like, when the sermon goes too long at church, we're like, nobody got saved after 12 o'clock. Like, who wants to sit here and listen for an hour? Nobody. Nobody's even
Ah,
listening.
you're not wrong. But there would be
Students,
these
adults.
moments where it's like, all
Hmm.
right, 10-minute break, like go to the bathroom, go to get a snack, whatever, phone
Hmm.
out. And they're just
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
their desks,
Right.
head down. They're not talking to each other. They're not. So it's like
Hmm.
you would, I don't know. It's like surprised me still that like, no, I needed to do that. Like not creating a play club, but creating those opportunities of like, okay,
Yeah.
here's what you need to do. Like this, there's not a lot of
Hmm.
structure, but like here's the space. Here's
Yeah.
what you need to accomplish in that time. I don't care
Yeah.
how you get there, but you need to play with this. You
Yeah.
need to figure it out. So yeah, just
Yeah.
it's
And
so
once they get
needed
into
at
that
every
state,
level.
yeah, it doesn't matter what age they are once they
Mhm.
get to that state.
Mhm.
So my daughter, like I said,
Yeah.
who's 16, at her birthday party this last year, like my wife and I came up with all these like teenagery kind of activities. We're like, we'll do karaoke and we'll have, this game and this activity, trivia about her, all the things. And that it was all fun. Like the kids loved it. Like it was a good time. But then one of
Yeah.
the kids was like, when I say kids, like 17-year-olds,
Yeah.
like, can I have
Yeah.
one of the balloons in your balloon arch that you made? I was like, sure. So I like take it off and give it to her, and she like hits it in the air. And then some of my daughter's other friends start hitting the air. It's like keepy uppy.
Keepy uppy.
Yeah. So they start hitting it, and then it becomes like intense. Like they're diving over tables. And there's a video on my Substack because, of course, me like I'm like, oh my gosh, they're playing. Take a video.
Yeah.
So it's on there, posted with permission. So they started playing, and then they started playing tag, and then the party was over, and they started like running around the building and playing like hide and go seek outside at nighttime at this point. And like they played like unstructured free play, 16, 17-year-olds. There was one
Yeah.
18-year-old. like unstructured free play for a couple hours until I was like, literally, guys, we're not supposed to be here anymore. We only rented this building until this time. We've got to go. But it was amazing. Like none of
Yeah.
them had their phones out. They all owned phones, but none of them had them
Mhm.
out. It was yeah. So it
Oh
doesn't matter the
gosh.
age. Teenagers,
Yeah.
kids, adults.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now
Get
we
the
need
right
to
thing
get
to.
some researchers coming to your birthday parties too. 'Cause-
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like this is a mini
I
taste
love
day.
it. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
And
wild.
it proves a point. Kids and teens and adult that we want play. Like
Mhm.
that is just something that's built in us and we need it.
Yep.
We need those moments that aren't structured and telling us what to do. And yeah,
Mhm.
and it provides so many benefits for so many different things.
Yep. And I think especially, I know it's millennial mom, but I think especially for my guy friends and I, like we generally won't go and like just sit and talk to each other face to face for hours, but we will absolutely like go kayaking together or like do some kind of
Yeah.
activity where we're just side by side, not necessarily looking at each
Mhm.
other, but pouring our hearts out just the same, like talking, having a great time, recreation, like whatever, hiking, doing whatever. And yeah, so,
Yeah.
Yeah. Get
or
out
I
in
mostly call it
nature too.
recreation, not play. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. No,
Yeah.
we're gonna have to have you back on sometime, Kevin,
I
because I already have
know.
like this whole list of questions about being a male teacher in education and
Oh,
fatherhood and
yeah.
all these other things too. There's
Oh
so
my
much
gosh.
more.
Yeah. We only
We
have
need
two
to talk
male
about
teachers in my
sometime.
school, but we're getting
Yeah.
two more this year. So now we've
Hey.
doubled.
Yay.
So I literally sent out an email the other day. I was like, okay, guys, now that there are a couple of guys at our school, do you guys want to just go out to dinner and meet each other? And every single one said yes. It was really exciting.
That's
Good, good.
So
amazing.
yeah,
Oh, that's awesome.
because
Do you
even adults.
have any final questions, Jordan? I am looking at our time where we're getting
I
close.
know.
Anything parting? Yeah, I don't know. It's
I
so
know.
hard to wrap it.
I'm
There's so much
looking
else
at
to
other
talk
things
about.
that I'd written down, but I guess well, to end, what are your plans or have you even, I know you talked about August is, hopefully
Yeah.
when you're doing graduation.
Hmm.
What are your thoughts as far as the future for you in education? Continuing to be an elementary
Yeah.
school teacher? Do you have hopes for administration or something, even bigger?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on next steps?
Yeah, I mean, this whole journey has been so unpredictable for me that, I mean, my wife and I always talk about just do the next right thing. Like, that's what we
Mm,
tell our daughters, that's what we tell ourselves. We start to get overwhelmed by the staircase. Like, just look at the next stair, like,
right.
just do the next right thing. And that's really been my entire education journey is just, okay, now that I know more about why kids are struggling, like, what's the next thing I can do to help? Oh, start a play club. Okay, get kids some more play. Then it's petitioning the district for more recess. And then even this year, there's a couple of new initiatives I won't talk about yet because they haven't happened yet, but it's just the next clear, obvious, right, small thing that I can tangibly do myself or get people to help me with. And so I don't have any big lofty goals. Actually, my first ever interview to become a teacher, they asked that big question of where do you see yourself in 10 years? And
Yeah.
like, I honestly just want to be a teacher. And I was like, I'm never going to get this job because I'm not ambitious. I'm not like, I have,
No, that's what they
all
want
these
to
things I
hear.
want to
Oh,
do.
that
Like,
is what they want to hear.
no,
They
Yeah.
I
want
got
to hold
hired, so it
on to
works.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I would love to say, well, I want to do this and then I'm going to do this, but I really am just trying to take opportunities that make sense and,
Yeah.
pre-decide like years ago, kind of pre-decided the things that I want to be good at. Like I want to be a good husband. I want to be a good dad. I want to be a good teacher. And then so that kind of filters out every opportunity that I get. Like, is this
Mhm.
going to help me in any of my big goals? And if it's not,
Mhm.
try to say no. And if it
Yeah.
is, then, it's an obvious yes, just kind of recognizing that every yes is also a no. Like if you say yes
Mhm.
to something that takes up a week of your time or a month of your time or whatever, you're
Right.
saying no to a lot of opportunities with
Mhm.
your
Right.
family and the things that you already decided you were going to be good at. And so that's really where I'm at now is trying to take the right opportunities, trying to focus on the things that I have to do well. I always think about this anecdote that my wife and I talked about before we had kids about this was when she was in college. Her chaplain talked about why he wasn't going to be speaking the next day at the chapel, and it was because his grandkid had a baseball game, and he's like, I'm the only person in the world that can be a grandpa to my grandson. There are lots of people
Mhm.
that can speak and be the
Hmm.
chaplain for tomorrow or whatever.
Mhm.
And so trying to take those same kind of thoughts and like be there for my daughters, be there for my wife, be there for my students as the school year begins and not get bogged down by any opportunity that comes along just because it's fun. This was a great opportunity because it's Sunday night and everybody's winding down anyway and the school year
Yeah.
hasn't started. but
Yes.
no,
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
and what I hear you saying is you're just really intentional about what you
yeah.
choose to focus your time on. So
Mhm.
mhm.
we talk a lot on here about being intentional.
Yeah. And it's
And
easier said than done sometimes, but
oh
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Just because we talk about being intentional doesn't always mean that we meet
yeah.
that. But well, where can people find you? Where can people
Yeah.
look up your work and see what you've written and tell our listeners where they can discover you?
Yeah. Thankfully, my name's unique enough that if you spell it right, you'll find everything. There's only two Kevin
Same.
Steinharts in the world spelled Stinehart. So
Oh,
yeah, so you'll find my stuff if you just search my name, Kevin Steinhardt. But yeah, I write the most on Substack and then a little bit on LinkedIn, but nothing too grand or lofty. For the New York Post, a little bit, but just as you can as a contributor, so not anything regular.
Yeah.
still, that's
Mm,
so
That's
that's amazing.
Yeah, that's fun.
cool. Well, thank you so much for
Yes,
saying yes
Yeah. Oh,
I
thank
know. Yeah,
you.
and
Such a
taking the time
joy.
to talk with us. Yeah.
So
we
great to
will.
meet y'all. Thank you so much
Yeah,
We
for
it's
will
the
great.
awesome
definitely
work
have
you're
to have.
doing.
We'll have a part two. There's just gonna have to be. We
I
have other
love it.
things that are swirling around. So
I would
come
love it.
back and be a millennial dad on our
Yes,
millennial
let's
moms
go.
All
podcast.
right.
Appreciate it, y'all. Thank you
Yeah,
so
thank
much.
you so
Cheers.
Such
much,
an
Thank
honor.
Kevin.
you.
Yeah. Okay, wow. Seriously. That was a really fantastic conversation. Like
Yes.
that could have turned into like 2, 3 hours. Like I just
Yes.
have so many other things that are now stirring around in my brain that I want to ask him about.
Yes.
Um, Wonderful. Yeah, man, talk about just I say small change as if but it's not, but one small
Yeah.
thing that made such a huge impact. And then
Mhm.
he certainly didn't do it for the recognition, but then the recognition that he's
Yeah.
gotten because of the results, because of
Mhm.
how it has improved so many children's and families' lives and the school
Mhm.
culture. That's so if anyone out there
Who wants to
wants
start a
to
club with us?
start a play club just wherever you are,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be some giant effort, like kind of like he said, like just pick a day. Maybe it's with a
Mhm.
couple friends. Hey, on Saturdays or on Tuesday evenings, we'll be here. And then
Mhm.
it can kind of just start to organically
Mhm.
grow. It makes me want to do that even more consistently with,
Yeah.
with my own little kind of
Mhm.
recess group.
Well, and that's the
Um,
most millennial momish thing of all, or like I feel like I've learned to like always give that caveat of like, here's what we are going to be doing and when we're going to be
mhm.
doing it. We would love if you can make it. We'd
Yeah,
love to see you there, but I also understand that life gets
life.
hectic. Sometimes
Yeah,
kids are not agreeing with the plan or whatever the thing is,
yeah,
but showing up and being there and knowing that the
yeah.
opportunity is out there and that and then that's not a one-time opportunity either. It's not like, oh, if we
Right.
miss, then like we're never going to be able to see that kid again. We're never going to be able to play on that playground, whatever, whatever the thing is.
There will be more
There's that
Gaga Ball.
ongoing open invitations, I think, is so
Yeah.
key. So whether
Yeah.
that's happening in a more structured, formal way in a school space or just out in your community, I
Yeah.
think it's
Just pick a
awesome.
park
Hmm.
or like bounce between people's yards. That's
Hmm.
another thing I've
Yeah.
seen people
Yeah.
do. Like, okay, every other week, like we go to your front yard or backyard and we rotate and, have a set number of families or, it grows
Yeah.
because like he said, kids they want to play. And even into teenage years, I was really interested about that middle school
Mhm.
adding the recess piece because I do think middle school kind of gets forgotten. It's these lost middle years, but
Mhm.
they're still so little. They're still babies
Mhm.
and they still want to play. And what a critical time in their lives that they are learning how to form relationships and keep relationships or maybe get rid of relationships
Mhm.
like and play is definitely a way that they can build those skills.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
man, he's doing a lot of cool stuff. I'm
Yes, he
so
is.
interested to see kind
Yeah.
of what happens over the course of this
Yeah.
next year with
He's a name to remember. I feel and not
yes.
like not any sort of like celebrity kind of way, but just like
Yeah,
if
just
he's
doing really
someone who just
cool
is
work that's
doing cool
impactful.
work and writing in a really compelling way that Yeah, I
Yeah,
certainly am excited to keep following.
totally.
Yeah,
That was fun. That was a
that was
that
fun.
was a good conversation.
Good
So
conversation.
we enjoyed
Let's go
it.
play.
Yeah, let's go play. It's still light enough outside. We could still go
Is
out.
it?
Yeah, it's only 8:30.
Okay.
It's still
Well,
light. After this, I'm gonna go outside with Camden and we're gonna look at lightning bugs and
oh, fun.
attempt to catch some. He likes to swat at them, not to hurt them. And I'm like, you are also strong, so knock it off. You're gonna
Yeah.
let's not
Yeah.
injure these beautiful little lightning bugs, okay?
Oh,
But also we're a 6-year-old and we like to just hit stuff.
yes.
So
Yeah.
hit the tree with a stick or something. I
Yeah.
don't know. Don't hit lightning
Yeah.
bugs.
Well, don't stay out there for too terribly long
I
because
won't.
I
No,
know
the
you're
air
going to tell us
quality
to
is
touch
too.
grass, but also maybe keep an eye on that AQI because
I
it's
know.
not
When's
great.
this going away? It
We
wasn't
finally
like
get a decent
this.
temperature today too. I was so bummed. It was
I
like, oh, this
know.
is a temp. I actually want to be outside, but we shouldn't because
I
yeah,
considered going to the sunflower field,
oh,
so that will have to be rescheduled.
you can come to my backyard. Have I told you about my sunflowers?
No.
They are gargantuan. It
Okay, I
is
need to come see this.
incredible. It's so majestic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love
So, and like
sunflowers.
I mean, so many best parts, but one of the best parts, they're all the best. They're all great. In the morning, when June goes out, we have an automatic light kind of on the backside yard that motion activated, so June runs by and I get to see the shadow of these flowers on the fence, and it's breathtaking.
Well,
Oh,
then listen, everyone who's in Central Illinois,
yeah.
get outside and touch grass, but you can go over to Helen's house and touch her
Do
sunflowers.
that. Yeah. Maybe don't touch
Okay,
them,
just look at
but
them.
come
Don't
look at
touch
the
them.
shadows at
Come
5 in
look
the
at.
morning. Totally open invitation.
Yikes. I don't think you want to put that out there, Helen.
You don't know where I
I don't.
live.
No, but
Actually, I've been like very weirdly specific, I guess, and maybe I should stop doing that. But that's a topic for another day.
Yep.
Anyway, go play.
Get outside and play. That's how I'll end today. Get outside
Love
and
it.
play.
Love it. And enjoy this podcast music by Brian Spickelmeyer. Jordan Spickelmeyer does social media. I'm Helen Plevka-Jones. I edit the audio. Thanks again to Kevin Stinehart for joining us today, and we will catch you on the Flippity Flip.